Okay. What's going on, everybody? This is TGA. Looks like it. So today we're outside the Bristol University Students' Union building to see apparently a Stop Trump rally. I thought it was. So scroll off that. Get the selfie stick up. Outside the Students' Union, they seem to have a little Palestine thing going on as well. So let's get the selfie stick ready, folks. Selfie stick. Okay. There we are. Selfie stick's recording. So we'll try and cross down here if we can. Got a little Palestine thing going on. Let's record on these. Communist Party as well. So I thought this was going to be an anti-Trump rally that's supposed to be going on. Alright.
Alright.
All good, thanks.
Revolutionary alternative?
Huh?
Looking for a revolutionary alternative?
No, I'm just filming, that's all. It's just YouTube.
Alright.
That's all. I thought there was supposed to be a rally against Trump going on today outside here as well.
I think there might be. Yeah,
there is.
Interested in a rally against Trump?
I'm interested in filming it, that's what I do.
Sorry.
Fair enough.
Just have a look what you've got here, just so my viewers can see as well. Thank you. Thanks, guys. There we are, Rog. Yeah, all good, thanks. Yourself?
You're a socialist?
I'm just an independent journalist, that's all.
Oh, awesome. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
My name's Sam.
Nice to meet you, Sam and Will.
Nice to meet you, Will.
Are you guys visiting Bristol or?
That won't be the first time.
It won't be the first time,
Yeah.
What are you making a video on?
Just what's going on today. There's supposed to be an anti-Trump rally today as well.
There's a no Trump rally, so that's held by Stand Up to Racism.
Yeah, I thought
we're
so,
the Revolutionary Communists. So
Good.
we're just coming out, selling our papers, highlighting to people that the loss of Trump is the failure of the Democrats, rather than, you know, this is democracy in action. If people are unhappy with the election in the US, they need to be angry at the system.
What do you think our country can do about that, really?
Well, our country plays exactly into the US's hand at every turn. I mean, if you look at Israel, we're constantly dragged into the mud by US imperialism, right? And given Trump's win, what's going to happen is he's going to withdraw from the world economy. He's going to start to deindustrialize, protect his own nation, America first, right? That means that he's going to implement tariffs. This is going to have a massive impact on global trade. This is going to impact Europe and the UK. And it's less about what can we do directly over here to prevent America, because that's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to get the working class in this country to realise that if they stand together, they're much stronger, and that we don't have to continue on this path of rising inequality together. We can actually make a difference if we get organised and educated, really.
Okay, well, that's it. Thank you very much.
No worries, lovely to meet you.
And you.
Yeah. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for your time. There we are. So solidarity, really. That's what he was saying. Just showing solidarity that they disagree with it. It's not that if there's anything we can do, as he was saying. So it's just about showing solidarity, which is good. That's a good thing, I think. People standing together, expressing that they disagree with certain politics. That's good that people could exercise those rights and stand up for what you believe in. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Oh, hiya. What we got here then?
So it was a we're an initiative that was to end sexual violence. So we created self-testing kits which we used that for rather than having to go to the police. And we had our launch last week. We've raised money, we've given out like 4,000 kits. We also have safe spaces around Bristol where if you go and ask for a pot of ink, they give you this. So for instance, Boston Tea Party tomorrow, Nando's is tomorrow. And we're basically just coming out again trying to spread as much awareness as possible. So
that's brilliant.
Let's have a look. I don't know if you can, these have our social media on them and everything.
Oh, Lovely, thank you very much.
Do you want to see the kit?
Yeah, I would do, yeah.
This is the kit we've created. So we hope people don't have to use them and that they work as a deterrent. But it's a DNA swab. So after rape or sexual assault, someone would self-swab, and then they're the ones with the results, like they're the ones with the power and control if they want to do anything later. Because a lot of people don't report to the police and the university, and that means they don't get help. Huh?
One of these things, look, on the back.
One of what?
Attack alarms.
Oh yeah.
You pull it and it's got a strobe on it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
And you lob it at your attacker and it draws attention.
Nice.
And they're rechargeable.
That's good.
Same as your phone charger.
What are you guys doing?
Just videoing for YouTube about what's going on. We go to all sorts of events and have a look. Just see what's going on.
What's your account?
It's on his hat there.
TJ.
The Gwen.
Yep.
Have a look. I'll take a photo.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Do you have much of a following?
Yeah, 16,000 and growing, so nearly 17,000 on YouTube now.
Wow. Okay. Well, anyone watching this, follow enough to end rape on Instagram, and help us give power back to survivors and take it away from perpetrators.
Fantastic, big respect for what you're doing anyway.
Thank you.
There's a lot of rape crime in Bristol.
Yeah. 500 estimated just at this university in 1 year.
And what's the reporting?
5 last year.
5 were reported to the police.
To the university. And no one's been suspended from here in 5 years.
Oh, God.
So,
Good enough.
exactly.
It's just within the university.
Which within uni buildings or students at the university, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
God.
that's not good enough, is it? Really, 5 being reported.
No, and I mean, and we're saying we've had enough. And so this is a new form of reporting, basically, which someone like takes into their own hands, and it's simple, discreet. You can do it at home. Doesn't make it a huge deal. It's what we've learned from people that they actually want.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that sexual and violent crimes have been on the rise in Bristol quite recently. So there seems to be a lot more going on. It's a lot more getting reported in the news recently as well that you hear about. It's quite sad. What do you think could happen to tackle it at the source? Do you think there's any way of?
Well, ultimately, we need to create education about it and deterrence.
Yep.
And we'll be doing both. Like, we've started conversations that never normally happen among students in the last week. We've had students come in and saying to us, we've spoken about things that I never talked about before with my friends. The university sent around an email about options for students. It's part of it starting a dialogue so you are aware of possibilities should this ever happen. And the other part of it is saying, actually, it's not okay to have sex without consent, and there's no symbol of that today. And this simple kit that students are taking with us is a symbol. It says, I'm with survivors, and I'm saying it is not okay for perpetrators to get away with this without consequence.
Fantastic.
That's what we're doing. But we're just beginning, but enough will help the world.
Well done. You're coming out and supporting people anyway. That's
cold.
Yeah. It is a cold day today. I've got 3 layers on you. I'm still cold.
Yeah. I need an orange coat. And then, oh, sorry.
It's all right. Thank you very much. Anyway,
Okay, well
you
done.
take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Well done. Respect for you.
Yeah.
There we go then, folks. So yeah, everyone's coming out today, supporting people, which is brilliant.
We've got the SWP over there as well, so it's the Socialist Workers Party. It's a different kind of socialist organisation.
That's great.
I don't know I can't say what they stand for, I'm going to say what we stand for.
So you're the Revolutionary Communist Party, you are?
So it's a national party, so we've got branches all over the UK. It's not but what mainly consists of our work is just educating people, joining in strike action and protest action, and trying to get the voice of the working class heard by the world.
Do you think people might take the wrong approach if they see the Communist Party considering like Soviet Russia in the past, like Stalin, China at the moment, with the oppression of groups in China?
That's the biggest thing we separate ourselves from. We share the symbol of the hammer and sickle because it's a united banner for the workers, but ultimately we don't support what Stalin did or his ideology. He failed to bring socialism around the world by protecting socialism in his country, right? That's one of the biggest reasons that it failed for Stalin, and we don't support that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. What would you do to get people to sort of look away from that and support you instead?
I mean, it only takes time, right? So why did I join? Why do we see people joining in the country now? Why do we see people making these revolutionary conclusions? It's their experience of life, right? When they get, you know, flack or shit from their manager, or they get laid off in mass kind of amounts, they learn through experience, not through reading about, you know, communism or theory or things like that. They learn through their life. When times are tough, they realise something's wrong with the system, and then we don't have to change our kind of approach. They come to us, as we're saying.
That's brilliant. But for those who do sort of hold that view of communism from what history would tell you, how would you get the word out there to say that's not what you're about, that's not what you stand for?
So we are not Stalinists, right? All that Marxists are, all that a communist is a truly classless society. Google communism, it's a classless society, right? So what separates us is communists just look at the world and see what's coming next. Capitalism can't go on forever. If we were to use a different word, right, someone would come in our group and say, oh, you're actually communist, then we'd be like, whoa, yeah, we are. Do you know what I mean? So we can't change, right? We evolve and see the world adapting. That's all that communists are. Scientists, in a way. I've studied biochemistry. You've got all sorts of different people, right? So
it's just the name
to view the world.
But the name and the symbol, it scares people, doesn't it? So.
But we've got to bring people under this banner, because what else do we bring them under? You know, I don't know, the Workers' Party. What does that mean? Do you know what I mean?
But it doesn't have that communist direct with a hammer and sickle
we've got to fight the propaganda, right? We've got to fight it. There's no way around it. We can't go beating around the bush. We have to fight it head on.
That's brilliant,
That's my perspective.
Well, hopefully you can get your message out there, and that people might see that you've got a different approach to what history would tell you. Anyway, well, I appreciate that. Anyway, thank you very much. You have a good day.
All the best to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And if you read, you can see the bird.
There you go. So it's the Socialist Workers Party. This one by here. See what they've got. Dump Trump. So yeah, stand up to racism, we're supposed to be here. Hello.
How's it going?
Very well, thank you. So what are you here for today then?
We're here to kind of, in unison, create a demonstration against Trump. We're with the Socialist Workers Party, a political party in the UK that is concentrated on building a mass movement of workers from below to try and challenge the injustice and the concentration of wealth that exists in this country and across the West in modern society.
Fantastic. Well, what do you think, especially with Trump being president-elect in the United States now, and the fact that it's the US is a different country to the UK? What can you do from this standpoint to really spread the word over there, in a sense?
Well, the biggest danger of a second Trump term is really the impact it will have on fascist and right-wing individuals in the UK. Because obviously there's not much we can do about American activism, because it's quite a far distance away. But we saw in 2016 when Trump got elected, figures like Nigel Farage, Boris Johnson, they gained a lot of traction and a lot of kind of popularity here in the UK. And we've seen some violence from their supporters, whether it's against migrants in migrant centres or just a general kind of disgusting rhetoric that is developed around that. And what we try and do here is to set up, you know, a kind of a counter force against that, and to say no, people aren't filled with hatred, people are just worse off because the ruling class has decided to squeeze workers as much as they can, and as a result these kind of populist right-wing leaders point the finger at a different issue when is kind of a mirage really for the central issue that we're dealing with, which is capitalism and the inequalities that arise from it. And I guess that's going to be the main focus of the next 4 years, is trying to fight against what we anticipate to be an increased rise in fascist popularity.
Do you think that everybody that supports a more right-wing agenda wants to go out there and be violent or cause any sort of harm to anyone?
I would say the majority of people who would support Reform UK or Tommy Robinson or any kind of these figures are just genuinely upset with the conditions that they're under in current society, and they don't know exactly where to direct that anger. And I think that these leaders, misuse that anger and kind of direct it for their own gain towards ethnic minorities, women, and other kind of marginalised groups. And I'd say that they're not wrong for being angry. I would encourage them to use that anger to actually try and focus it towards where the actual cause of their suffering is being directed.
Do you think those in positions of power are sort of using that to fuel a division between people? Or?
Absolutely, they thrive on division. That's what kind of modern politics has become. It's all about divisive rhetoric. It's all about us versus them. There's very little unity around working class individuals. And the level of inequality that there is in modern society, it's so easy to then create divisions.
Do you think people who currently support more right-wing agendas do you think you could perhaps get information out there, try and speak to people and try and find a common ground rather than a division between the left and the right?
Absolutely. I think one of our central goals is trying to increase education and awareness around what we view as the issue, and to try and pull people away from these kind of violent ideologies, because it's not really productive at the end of the day. It's a constant cycle of negativity, and yeah, that's definitely part of what we aspire to do, definitely, yeah.
No, that's fantastic, because from what I've been to some both right-wing rallies and left-wing rallies to report, and from what I've found, that there's some people on both sides who seem to want people to be divided, who don't want to find a common ground between either group. So why do you think people on both sides would have that opinion? They want to create tension between the other side? Or
I think there's an element of tribalism that develops in these, whether it's far right or far left, in that you can kind of become entrenched in your views, and you just look at the other side as the enemy without really coming to a table and trying to engage in productive discussion. And I think once you kind of become part of these circles, it's understandable why people would then not be willing to try to find common ground, like you're saying.
Might be a better option just to talk to people as well and try and engage with people, rather than having that aggression towards the other side because you disagree with what they believe in. Which is what I've found a bit from doing what I do. There's people who make assumptions based on the fact that I'm going around with the camera. People on both sides, people who don't want to be filmed, and they start thinking I'm filming them for the wrong reasons. Which is I get called I've been called a fascist and things like that just for creating content for YouTube and conducting myself as a citizen journalist. What would you do to change that rhetoric, do you think? Or?
It's very hard. I'm not a media personality. I'm not someone with much influence, really. I guess it's doing things like what we're doing today. Hopefully people with views that agree with us and people who have views that disagree will be willing to come up and speak to us and engage with some of the content that we have here. We've got a paper that's got great articles, and we've got some leaflets and some booklets that are quite useful for educating yourself. And I think that people have to be open for that discussion. Some people just aren't willing to take the time to really consider those views. So it's a big challenge, really. It's not one where there's a simple answer. I don't think. It's got to be a gradual shift towards unity, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, look, you've spoken really well, and appreciate you for talking to us.
Cheers, thanks very much. Are you an independent journalist, or are you?
I am, yeah, YouTuber. So I class myself as a citizen journalist for YouTube. That's all it is.
Yeah. What's your account?
It's the Gwent Auditor.
The what?
The Gwent Auditor.
The Gwent Auditor. How do you spell that?
It's written on my hat there.
The Gwent Auditor. Okay. Cool. Thanks very much.
No problem, and hopefully people will listen to what you've had to say on my platform now as well, which is brilliant.
That'll be fantastic.
Thank you very much. What was your name anyway?
Thank you very much. Jack.
Jack, my name's Sam.
Sam, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Jack. Yeah, and you. Take care. There we go. There's the Bristol University security there as well coming by. There we go. I thought there'd be more people here, to be honest now. It's interesting to see we've got a few different groups representing different things here as well.
Raise our cost of living even more. What are we going to say about that?
Yeah, quite respectful here today. That's brilliant. I think that paints the students at the University of Bristol in a good light, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Better than than we had a couple of weeks ago.
I was like, oh, I'll play.
Well, people need to see this. People need to see this approach as well. People do.
At least they'll send a positive message across rather than a negative.
Let's just hope that guy with the yellow jacket don't turn up from the Cascade Steps. So he's just an adjunct provocateur, that's all he is. Have a look at the mural on the Students' Union building. Let's have a little look, shall we? Head up. Let's have a little look at this. Carmen Beckford MBE. What do we know about Carmen Beckford, who's got an MBE?
Yeah, that's why.
Have a look. Have a look on your phone, see what it says. About Carmen Beckford. I'm sure people here would know what she stands for. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure whether she stands for the unions or because it's a student union building, yeah. It's Bristol Students' Union. What's it say? Carnival Queen.
Honestly, I feel the same thing.
Born in Jamaica, eldest of 7 children, brave Carmen was only 17 when she travelled to the UK. She trained to become a nurse and then a midwife. Social activist she was. What did she stand for? Was it black people's rights, was it? She joined the Commonwealth Coordinated Committee tirelessly. Carmen also worked alongside the Saints of St Paul's on community issues. Paul Stevenson, who helped organise the Bristol bus boycotts, was a friend. First race relations officer. In addition to her other work, Carmen became the first race relations officer in Bristol. She was keen to integrate different ethnic groups within the city. Part of this was done through her work to build young people's self-esteem. Carmen established a West Indian dance team and held annual fundraising events that included dance ensembles from various cultural backgrounds. The club went on to perform at Colston Hall, travelled as far as Germany. Beckford proudly said of the team, when you have self-respect and pride, no one can mess with you. I was involved in all of their lives. Oh.
First black recipient of an MBE.
Oh wow. Oh.
As noticed in 1982, she was awarded with the MBE by the Queen. And she became the first black recipient in the Southwest.
Well, that's interesting to know, really, isn't it? To be fair. There we go, folks. So the demo's still going on down there. Not too many people are here at the moment. So yeah, it's the Senate House, folks. Security don't seem to have re-emerged at the minute. I'll wander back down by the demo in a second, by the Students' Union building.
I've used my brain and realised it's not
Oh, sorry, love. Here we are. So I found out a bit about the Carmen Beckford mural, who she is, on there. We've had a chat with some of the protesters here today. Oh, that's alright, don't worry. There we go. So let's see if more people are coming up to the protest now. Yeah, it seems to be growing. There's more people reading anyway. They're getting. Seems to be a few people interested. I'm filming you. Oh, sorry. It's not tent. Oh, we got a paintball thing as well going on. There we go. Here's the lady saying, are they supposed to be outside? I'm guessing she's on about the. I'm guessing she's on about the protest groups. Not sure.
These are allowed outside. These people.
That lady. Oh, was she on about us with the cameras? I don't know. I really don't know. Oh, I only just walked past a minute ago. There we go.
They're allowed on the pavement to protest.
See if we can have a look through some of them leaflets as well, folks. Have a little read.
I personally have seen poverty, I've seen slums, people on the streets, I've seen security quality.
What are they here for? There's a few of them driving past, aren't there? University of Bristol Security Services. More people part of the rallies coming up. Are they going to grow or no? Oh, security are pulling in. Alright. Here we go.
But once you, I think social consciousness is also like, if you're educated as a kid, you might see hard lines to believe what is right and what is wrong. But as you progress and find errors in the system, you might just end up doing that or just propagating a message, just trying to talk to people. That's why this, that's why this is formed. People want change. I think people accept the system because it hasn't quite affected them. People's lived experience is even more the validation. Imagine if you got to a point where everyone who believes a certain worldview have that change because they're captured because it will affect them suddenly. There's still a lot of people who are in bar recently kind of building a bar and it's so difficult to get. I mean, people just have not got the experience yet. So, I mean, capitalism will get everyone at some point. There's always a bigger fish, bigger capitalist ready to buy any capitalist. So even if you're an actual capitalist, they're not even immune to it. So they'll realise at some point, and that's the kind of same thing for everyone. Everyone is seeing that now. There's a loss of living prices, people are seeing more than ever. We're going to continue to get it. That's why I say we're not going to start there are revolutions starting in Bangladesh and Kenya. The revolution start with what we need is a revolution authority. So we'll be able to lead the revolution. That's the thing, that's why the revolutions in Bangladesh are actually going nowhere. They were just another authority in the past.
But then I believe in like united revolutionary parties to get the strength of everyone wanting a similar aim.
Yeah, it's a good point. As what you say, we're not actually against it. We're
I know.
Sorry.
We ask them more slightly different people. That's why we want to sort of be separate. We have to separate things. But at the end of the day, we all still support the working class, and we're not actually that different compared to like. So I think
if you want to keep how do you expect society to be united in one aim if there's these different revolutionary
I guess so, but I mean, the idea is everyone, even anyone in this party, has to do something like that.
I might have one of these.
I
thought there were more people than this, to be honest. So there's two separate. We've got the Revolutionary Communist Party and the Socialist Workers Party here as well.
So the American is coming to.
Well, I see University Security keep driving back and forth.
Like he's communist like America.
Oh, coughed up, didn't it? I mean, they were saying, I'm going to ask again actually. But then in going towards, actually I need to ask that, in going towards communism, it could become like China, a one-party system, which that's been shown not to work either. Look at how that works. There's no democracy there, is
That's
it?
like the farmers having to pay 20% inheritance tax to pass down their land.
Excuse me, sorry. You know how you said that communism is a stateless system, basically, classless system, as you said. Couldn't that? I mean, the situation in China, which removes democracy, is the fact that it's a one-party system. Would it be could it still, with the communist state, could it still be a two-party system, multiple-party system, where you've got democracy and ability to vote for different people?
Yeah, I mean, communism isn't a lack of democracy. Communism is true democracy. So the difference is that the democracy that we have now just kind of swings left and right. So our democracy is that we have the power to vote every 4 or 5 years, and then we can trust our politicians to do what we hope they're going to do. I don't see that that's the will of the majority. Also, the will of the majority is not to live in relative poverty. Like, if we truly care about what everybody wants, how has that come about in society? And we can see that it's not come about in any sense of the word democratic. Right? So we're talking about China. So
I lived there.
In China.
I lived in China. Yeah.
But I don't think China's communist, right? They use the hammer and sickle falsely, and they claim to be communist. They're definitely not. They employ free market economy. You've heard of this before? Yeah. So like they pick and choose where they want to allow the government to do things and where they want to let the market
they've got special economic zones.
Yeah.
Right. So that's not that they've really failed. Like, I mean, I don't want to say failed, right? What's happened in China is that they've adopted capitalism because they failed to listen to the workers, and then their state of their economy is now starting to drop, as has happened to the US. I mean, they're still the biggest kind of economic superpower, right? But we see people starting to scale back. I mean, if you look at Xi Jinping now, he's installed this kind of stimulus package which no one could predict whether he was going to inject or not, right? Because of the real estate industry in China, it's recently undergone like a big collapse. But so anyway, my point about China is that irrelevant whether it calls itself communist, it's not truly a communist because they employ the free market. Right.
Okay. Well, thank you very much anyway. This gives a little bit of context. Did you want to say something?
Little thing, yeah, closer to home now. I'm from the countryside, from the farming community.
We've just seen
and we've got Keir Starmer now imposing 20% inheritance tax on passing down small family farms. Now, farmers I know, they don't make any money, if at all. They can't afford to pass them down. Only last week did we have a farmer commit suicide so he could pass on his farm to his kids without having, we couldn't afford. Where these kids can get the 20% of $1 million from? You know, that's £200,000 they've got to come up with.
Yeah, I mean, Starmer's hand is always forced by economics, right? Whether it's the hand of different capitalists, that doesn't matter to us. We're saying that his hand shouldn't be forced. The farmers shouldn't be forced to compromise their quality of life, as the workers shouldn't be compromised to force their quality of life. But Starmer has to pick and choose where he puts his economic pot. Right? He has to put it somewhere in the same way that the Tories put theirs somewhere. It's not going to ever work for everyone. I mean, the only way that it can work for the majority is if they stop accumulating the profits at the top. Right? That's the only true way that we can see the majority of the people have a better quality of life. So I don't support Starmer in anything that he does, because ultimately he serves the capitalists.
He does. I mean, we're 4 meals away from supermarkets having their shelves wiped out. Literally, it is a rolling system. If anything stalls in that system, we saw during COVID-19, if anything stalls in the food supply chain, then this country is up that well-known creek.
Exactly.
You know, without the farmers, there's no food.
I mean, exactly. We need like people that are actually doing the work in the country to be. Compensated for what
They were planning a protest, but they realised that that's not going to do any good.
Well, no, I mean, we've seen the reality of these performative protests all the time.
They wait.
What really changes?
They don't do anything.
I mean, I agree with the kind of the substance of the protests. The idea is a brilliant idea. Same with the Palestine ones. We should not be fighting a war or committing genocide in Gaza or contributing to it. And then you have these protests, and Labour decrease their arms sales by like 10%. It's just it's like a you know, a slap in the face. You know what I mean?
I mean, we've still got, in terms of Palestine, we've still got, the Ministry of Defence has got a lot of contracts with Israeli-based defence firms, which, should that really be the case? I mean, is it really, why should we be supporting why should we be supporting Israel in any sort of way, shape or form in terms of defence anyway?
Exactly.
What do we owe them in that respect, really, isn't it?
What do we owe anyone? And the fact is that because Israel has a massive part in the US politics, they're the biggest lobbying party in the US, biggest lobbying group. Right, they contribute the most, right, in terms of other lobbying groups. So whatever Netanyahu is willing to do, the US will have to follow, even if they pretend that they're going to reprimand them in some way or give them some kind of deadline. It's just performative. And then ultimately, if we want to stay on the side of the US and the West, we have to follow their suit. So, you know, all of this needs to end, but it can't. None of this can end as long as it's profitable.
I mean, pretty much, if you look, well, the entire Western world is a capitalist system, so how can any of us really step away from it?
The majority of the world's capitalist system. China's
China is, yeah.
Russia's capitalist, but it's just different capitalists going at each other, as we saw in World War I and World War II. You know, and then it was Lenin that said that these wars are the result of imperialism. The highest stage of capitalism, when the bank capital merges with the investment of foreign capital, right? You see this kind of culmination where we're forced to expand our markets overseas, and this will just continue until there's these conflicts. So it can't continue, right? Well, at some point it's going to implode.
Do you think at this stage we've dug the whole world's basically dug a hole that we can't get out of, really?
Well,
at that point,
I mean, people find a way, right? Even if it implodes, right, it's going to implode in some form. Look at Bangladesh earlier this year. They had a revolution because of an unjust quota system, and they had a revolution and they overthrew, I think it was Sheikh Hasina. Right, so we know that revolution is possible. Right, the people can do what they want if they stand together.
It's where the people in countries like Britain and America are going to.
They'll be forced to at some point. Right?
Whether we've got the drive to do that in Britain or the US, really. So.
Just wait for the conditions. Not just wait. We have to be ready for the conditions. Yeah?
Do you think people are at this stage, or?
Well, that's what we're trying to do.
The majority,
that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to educate people, and we can only build a party so that we're ready for when revolution takes place. There is a systematic plan in place.
How would a country be run on the sort of communism that you're talking about? How would a country be run in that sense, do you think?
Well, I mean, if you look at a planned economy, right, this is what was done in the kind of early years of the USSR before it degenerated into kind of a failed workers' state. This kind of economy is capable of taking relative amounts of poverty and relative amounts of industrialisation to much, much higher levels. Right, but it's less about having to work out the nitty-gritty of the economy now. We know that from Marxist economics that certain things hold true because he's made predictions about capitalism that have come to be true. So all that we have to do is learn these kind of economics, and essentially it's less about having to plan an ulterior system in place, and it's more about just having to, I suppose, guide the revolution in times of crisis.
Because I can't stand here and purport that I have a system in place ready. Do you know what I mean? Because we don't know what the future will look like. And if I did, that would be utopian of me. If I could predict everything in the future, you'd be saying I'm not basing it in reality. All that we know today is that this system is failing, right? Once it's failed, then we will set up the next system.
So it's all again uncertainty of what comes next, as there always is.
Yeah. But what we can do now is look at the situations that we're facing today and say how can we be ready to take on the next challenges, right? I mean, all it really is just ensuring that when we have these times of crisis, when there's a workers' strike, we push them to what the workers actually want rather than settling for these kind of deals, right? And then with enough power and enough collection of all the workers in these strikes and forming general strikes, there is then the power to have revolution. That's how we see it.
I mean, we've come to a stage now, as we know, where our government's actually put limitations on strikes. The previous Conservative government actually put restrictions on public workers who were striking.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the kind of the implications of that is only no. The reality of that is that with the development of the capitalist system, right, this is inevitable. Right, the kind of the development of proto-fascism will only continue, right? As we'll see with Trump, as he develops his policies, as he's put into the Supreme Court judges that are more Republican than Democrat, and he wants to change the staffing of the White House and things like that. When we see the development of proto-fascists, this is only what comes when capitalism has reached such a failed kind of state, really.
Do you think really Trump's main intentions were financial at the end of the day?
What else could they be?
So again, we had a lot of quite wealthy people who were supporting Elon Musk, for example, supporting his campaign. Yeah. So it does look that way, doesn't it?
I don't think there's any other basis than financial basis. Obviously, there's a psychoanalysis to be made of Trump. He's always wanted to be a winner. He'll do anything to win. He'll lie his way to the top. He's done this all throughout his business life, right? So, but ultimately, I think Trump is more a product of this economy, right? I think he isn't in the same way that other kind of true capitalists are in power. He's just a fruition of this economy. The way that he's got into power has been allowed to happen because of our system, right?
Do you think that's to be said for a lot of major political leaders, though? It comes down to people have money and power and they want to hold on to it, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's how the state generally works. The state is set up to reconcile these kind of class conflicts. That's what it does. It makes sure that if people are angry because of their economic situation that they're forced to be in, then they will always be repressed by the state.
I mean, if you look at Trump before he became president, he still had money and power. He had his own business empire and had, a small, as he said, a small loan of $1 million from his father. So that's already, he started off with a silver spoon in his mouth, if you want to put it that way. And does it seem like most politicians who rise to major positions of power seem to start off in that sort of position, that they start off with already having quite a lot more than the average person?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fairly true. I feel like that might be a sweeping kind of generalisation to make, but I'd say more so on the point of politicians being, even if we hope that they're kind of good people, right, even the ones that we might perceive as to be better people than the proto-fascists like Kamala or Starmer, liberals might perceive them to be better people. They're just as locked into the system as their alternative. So they can't do anything, even how much of a good heart they might have.
Do you think they don't actually have a say themselves? There's somebody else pulling the strings?
I feel like someone else pulling the strings is a bit kind of conspiratorial. I don't know, because I wouldn't be able to point to someone and say this person's pulling the strings. Then I feel like I've got no basis to say that.
So more generalisation of businesses, quite where the wealth is, where the money is anyway.
Yeah, I'd say it's more the economic system that puts the